Hey guys, how's it going? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel with another video for you guys here today, and it's another loss in the books by these Dallas Cowboys, 28-25. They try to pull off some late game comeback, and it's just too late. And so we want to talk about what happened in this game, a couple of my thoughts, and all that other stuff. Before we get into that, if you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button. Helps the channel out in the algorithm. On top of that, share this with a friend or family member if you enjoy talking about the Cowboys. And then subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell if you want to support the channel further. Hit that join button. Do apologize if I'm talking a bit softly. Jaw's a bit bothering me over the past couple days, so I'm going to get that checked out. Hopefully everything's okay. But I did want to talk about this game because I had a lot to say. And so one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was how the game went. And one of the things that bothered me was just how the Cowboys look so broken. And I'm just so annoyed with how this team operates from the top, because they made the bed that they're trying to lie in now. And I've said it throughout the offseason. You can't just leave these glaring holes and expect there to be different results every single year, because if one person doesn't do their job from that core of players, because I've said this roster is extremely top heavy, and if those top heavy players do not perform, your team's not going to win. Now that doesn't mean that I'm creating excuses for anybody, but I'm just calling it how I see it. I can't blame Dak Prescott for this game. Did he play amazing? No. He played pretty pedestrian to start off, but he didn't do anything to put further points on the board in the sense of allowing the Ravens to score, like, interceptions, turnovers, etc. But he was the only reason you were in this game. Your passing offense was the only reason you were scoring points. Your run game, I'm just looking at the stats, 16 carries for 51 yards, and the only touchdown was from Dak Prescott on a sneak. Like, that is not a sustainable winning method offensively. And then I will say that Rico Dowdle looked productive this game. But when you see how the Cowboys were trying to orchestrate their offense, it looked very vanilla and lack of motion. And unfortunately, that is something that has been the story of this team. In fact, it even went back to last year with how the season began, before the offense really started to get rolling. Now, the other part that I wanted to talk about with the offense was CeeDee Lamb and him pouting on the sideline. And look, we all get frustrated when things aren't going our way. I completely understand that. But bro, I can't defend the pouting when you demand the ball and then when you get the ball you can't do shit with it. You see what I mean? Like, we can't be doing this. And I think, is rust a part of it? Sure, we can say that. But at the end of the day, that falls on your front office. If you pay him sooner, he's there to get gelled with the team. And, training camp is just practice, but to some of it, it's just getting ready for the season, especially when these dudes aren't playing in preseason. And so you're going through the motions. And I did say I'm going to wait 4 to 5 weeks before I kind of see how this team is. And it's kind of going how I expected it. And I don't like saying that because I don't want to look at it from a negative lens. I really don't. But at the same time, we got to call it how we see it, like I just said. So offensively, you struggled. And on top of that, like, they should have been going with the seam passes to Jake Ferguson, because they should have been attacking the Baltimore secondary a lot more. That was something that I was hoping I would see, but they didn't. And so offensively, it was a big problem, but this is my biggest gripe with this team. And by the way, I forgot to mention the CeeDee Lamb fumble when you're trying to score and get back in the game. But defensively, I'm just looking this up. I'm looking at these stats, man. 274 rushing yards on 45 attempts. Like, bro, we can't be doing this. Like, this is not... You can't win this way. You know, people want to say Dak Prescott's making 60 mil a year. Lamb's making 30. All these players are making all this money. But have we really sat and, like, think about this logically? You can't win football games when you don't sack, you don't get really any turnovers, and on top of that, I'm just double checking, yeah, no turnovers, and you let them basically kill you one-dimensionally, and they know you can't stop it. That you can't win that way, guys. I'm sorry, like, some people that do not like Dak Prescott, you know, they want to hear me criticize him a lot more. And again, I felt like he started the game off pretty pedestrian, but turned it on later in the game to try and do something. But my point is that when you look at what's happened over the past 2 games, you've had Lamar Jackson complete 12 of 15 passing, 182 yards and a touchdown. I think Derek Carr completed like not even 12 or 16 passes, and I don't think he threw over 20 attempts the last game. And you can't tell me that, you know, look, you could tell me that the offense is a problem. I just said, like, the run game's a problem. I forgot to mention the O-line, because there's a lot of things that are going through my head with how I'm feeling about this team. But you brought in Mike Zimmer, who we thought in week 1, oh, maybe he found it up, but it looks like a fluke. And that's why I was like, you know, it looks unstoppable. We'll see how things go. And so far, we're seeing how things are going, and it's like, dude, you've been gashed in that run game, and it's because you're not addressing defensive tackle properly. You're not addressing things. And then not only that, like, Kalen Carson's getting burnt, and now you're kind of like, okay, maybe we should have brought back Stephon Gilmore to solidify that, or maybe play other dudes in that position, you know. And we could say, you know, look, they missed DaRon Bland for sure, but I just don't know what you can do, because we could talk about how they do in the passing game, but bro, if you can't stop the run worth for shit, you're not going to go anywhere. Like, forget making it all the way and winning a championship. You're not even going to make it to the playoffs playing like this. And it is a long season. You know, it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. I've always mentioned that. And you play the Giants next. And looking at that, you know, they did their thing. I believe it was against the Browns. They won. And so I'm looking at this Cowboys schedule, and I'm just saying to myself, like, okay, you should be able to beat the Giants, but if you don't, you know, what's the next conversation that you're going to have? Because part of me, you know, I've talked about, like, Mike McCarthy has been good at developing a program that can win. But at some point, you're going to have to start having those conversations of, does Mike McCarthy even make it to the end of the year? Right now, if we're going to put it on like a DEFCON scale from 5 being no to 1 being he's absolutely getting fired, I would say that we are at DEFCON 3 right now. I don't think that they're going to fire him that early in the season, because typically coaches need to get at least half a season before something drastic happens, depending on the situation. I would say that if we lose to the Giants, that moves to a DEFCON 2, and then we just evaluate from there. So right now, I'm at a 3 when it comes to that. So, here's where I think the landscape of this team is. If you add another wide receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb, does that help things? It could, but still, you need to find a way to run the ball. And again, I'm not saying they need to force it. Like, that was something that was bothering me throughout the game, was like they were forcing the run when they didn't need to. Like, it was not going to get you anywhere, right? And so, you know, your offensive line looks out of whack. The running game is non-existent. The only way you're in games is if Dak Prescott has a Herculean effort. And I have said it, many times, and I said it 7 times in this video already, but I just want to make that point clear, is you cannot win games with doing that. If nothing else is going right, except for your passing game, which is good, you're not going to win games, man. Or your kicker, too. I forgot to mention, like, your kicker is arguably your best player right now. And I think there has been a point, I forget who made it on Twitter, and I apologize if you watch this video, and I don't remember who, because, again, a lot of thoughts are going through my head. This offense is so easy to stop. All you gotta do is double up Lamb, and that's it. Dude, you're not going to worry about the Cowboys running the ball. You're not going to worry about any of these other dudes making plays at the early going of the game. All you got to do is punch Dallas in the mouth, they fall down, and that's game. You know, and that's what bugs me so much about this team, is that they had every opportunity to fix these things in the offseason. They did not do it. You know, what's his name? Jerry Jones wanted to talk about how we couldn't afford Derrick Henry, yet you could have if you made certain moves. And that's where I just have a problem with how this team is managed, and it's not going to change the results of this team, because there is like this whole bullshit movement of, oh, we needed to be humbled. We needed to be humbled. Oh, did we get humbled again for the second straight week? I mean, get the fuck out of here. And then on top of that, like, stop trying to hype up this team for something it isn't. Sorry, like this is a soap opera right now. We're just watching how things are turning out. You know, all the quotes, everybody saying things, blah, blah, blah. You know? And the other thing that I've seen on Twitter is like, oh, we miss, you know, the players are so soft and all this other shit. Bro, when Chris Richard was here giving, you know, Leighton Vander Esch and Sean Lee the business by yelling at them in that playoff game, did we go and win that game? Did that change anything? No, it didn't. When we had a player like Des Bryant who was very intense and I loved his energy, did that change the results of this team? No, they didn't. And again, like, it's not that I have any concern about how the players are. Like, they talk about how there's certain players that are great leaders, and some people say, oh, those leaders got to step up. Like, what about the other players, right? Like, what about, you know, other guys on the offensive line? Like, we hear about Dak's leadership and how great it is. Cool. But what about everybody else, man? Like, this is kind of crazy how it's like, oh, we got to, Dak has to save us. Dak is the end-all, be-all of this team. That is not how you win games. And in fact, the last 2 games show you that if you can build a team that can take pressure off your quarterback by making it easier for them, it makes life a whole lot easier, doesn't it? Because one thing I've noticed is that Dak Prescott will press, and I'm going to just say this, and many people don't know this, dude. I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but when the fourth quarter started, that was Dak Prescott doing his thing. He was pulling a Tony Romo. Right now, I think we are in the 2011 through 2013 Dallas Cowboys, those Romo years. I really do. I think that Dak Prescott will play good enough football to keep you relevant, but not good enough to save you every single game. And this game reminded me a lot of the 2011 game against the Giants. It was the one where they were down 24-0, and then they tried to come back, and then they lost, and it is what it is. But, you know, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. But we're looking for answers, guys. We just are. And I think that, you know, as I'm trying to move stuff into my new house, it's just like those thoughts keep coming here like, okay, what is this team's identity? We keep talking about that every single year, and they can't answer it. You know what this team's identity is? It's a soap opera. It's a country club. Not only that, if we're talking about it just like from the football aspect of it, it's literally Dak Prescott save us and the defense can just fuck off and do whatever. That's what it is. And, you know, like, this is kind of what bugs me, too, is, like, not to talk about the Eagles for a second, but I should, because this point, dude, they look like Jalen Hurts It was not doing that team any favors, yet they were able to pull a win out of their ass because they were able to have Saquon Barkley do his thing, and all they had to do was just get a couple throws here and there because their defense kept them in the game. And that was it. That's what I'm saying, man, is like even with how that game went, we just needed one stop and we probably win the game, or we at minimum tie it. Like, it's just mind-boggling. And I apologize that I keep going on, but I'll end it here with this. And I hope you guys can take this away if you made it to the end of this video. This Cowboys team is not going to win with this model. And I'm telling you right now, there is no fix they can do or add anything that can change how bad this is. Like, I've said it before, this team relies so much on these young players. Like a Clarkson, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Guyton, etc. If these dudes don't step up, you're screwed. And we're seeing the F around and find out moment. So, I'm going to just leave it at that. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in a bit whenever the Cowboys next play. I really just don't care. I'm kind of just out of it. Because this team doesn't care. Why am I going to care? And I hate to say that, but I just want to be honest. So, sorry that I'm not catering to the hype or anything with this team. I'd rather just be straight with you guys. So, have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you later.